3, 2, 1.
Live from the Rob Christensen Radio Network Satellite Studio, it's Jim and Rob Overanalyze the Movies. Well, hello everybody, and welcome to Jim and Rob Overanalyze Movies, home of the best chat on the internet. Folks, we've got a great show for you tonight, including a special treat. We've got company coming. Anyway, but before that, let's all welcome my co-host, the man with the most, Mr. Jim Cheboyko. Jim, how you doing, my friend?
Great. I just got off work, so I'm ready for a nap. No, I'm just kidding. I'm good to go. I got my second wind. Yeah, so I'm all set to go.
Oh, fantastic. You're doing well? Family's fine? Everybody's fine?
Yeah. No, it's good. It's the sort of the best time of year in Winnipeg for those who may not know this place very well, but some of our American friends, that sort of May, June, before the bugs come and everything's warming up. I got my garden in. The backyard is like Narnia at this time of year. It's great. It's sort of a fantastic time of year.
Narnia renewed?
Yes, yeah. Sorry, good Narnia. Not with frightened centaurs and Jamie McAvoy hanging around, but and not winter. But we had a family campfire last night. 22 degrees at 11 o'clock, or about 70, I guess. So yeah, all good to go. How about you?
Good. Did get some time outside, and yeah, I'm feeling jazzed. I'm looking forward to tonight's show.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to my second COVID shot is like 6 days away,
That's
so
excellent.
I'm really jazzed about that. Yeah, I'm good, my friend.
Good.
Listen, of course, Jim, we're no slouches when it comes to examining a diverse selection of flicks with our audience. That said, we can't watch everything is coming out, but we have a friend in our YouTube scene who just might, and he's really excited to tell us all, like you, me, our wonderful audience, but some of the films he thinks should be on our radar. Whoops. Put the wrong one up there. My bad. So what I'm going to say to you, we're going to say to everyone in the audience where the live chat's already going, let's all give a big welcome to the hardest working man on the YouTube film review beat, Shawn from Lost in the Reel.
Hello.
How you doing, man?
Thank you so much for having me. I'm good. How are you doing?
Doing very well. What's new with you? Apparently it was a little warm in Fresno the other day.
Yeah.
That's what we hear.
Oh my goodness. It's like getting up to like 110, 115. It got up to 117 degrees the other day, so it's been nice and hot.
Wow.
Jeez.
Yikes.
Crazy.
Well, listen, why don't we just jump right into it? Usually what we've done, we've started a new part of our series once a month, give or take. We'll have somebody come on, tell us something their films they're excited about. What you wanted to do, though, was change it up a little, talk about films you've already seen, because you really work the festival circuit, Shawn.
Yes.
And you wanted to talk about films you've seen that are coming out that should be on our radar, that you're excited about us seeing.
Yes, absolutely.
Fantastic. Go ahead.
Oh, yeah. What I was going to say is I wanted to do this because there are so many incredible films I've seen at film festivals recently that I think are, smaller independent features that a lot of people aren't going to, it might be past their radar. So I want to get it on their radar. And then also I'm a part of a collective called the Cinema Squad, and I'm going to plug right now real quickly.
Go for it, baby.
But we are having our first episode premiere this upcoming Tuesday at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 8 p.m. Eastern, and we are going to be talking about our most anticipated films that we haven't seen.
Oh, fantastic. Well, do me a solid then. After the show, send me the link to that, and I'll pin it in the top comment for this show later tonight or tomorrow morning. Okay, man? Be happy to promote that. Oh, very much my pleasure. Why don't we get into, let's give you let's give you pride of place, my friend.
Oh, yay.
And we're starting with number 5, are we? Is that what we're doing, my friend?
Perfect. We'll start with my number 5. And that is called Mass. And I saw this at the Sundance Film Festival at the very beginning of the year. It is directed by actor Fran Kranz. This is his directorial debut. And it stars Martha Plimpton, the amazing Ann Dowd, Reed Birney, and Jason Isaacs from Harry Potter. And this movie is my second favorite of the year. It was just dethroned by In the Heights.
Really?
Yes. It's been my number 1 the whole entire year so far.
And we still got another 6 months.
We do. So it might go down the list. But nonetheless, Mass is 100% a film that people should have on their radar. It is a powerful, heartbreaking film about 2 couples. One couple their son was murdered in a school shooting, and the other couple are the parents of the shooter. And they're getting together 7 years later at this church that is facilitating this meeting between these 2 couples. And it is a chamber piece, so it's in one setting the whole entire film. And you might think that might be boring, but it is just so powerful all the way through. And I think it definitely has a shot at least acting nominations at next year's Oscars.
Very cool. That reminds me, lower stakes, but carnage.
Oh,
2
yes,
parents,
absolutely.
2 sets of parents in one room, kind of working out their kids' behavior.
Exactly, their kids' issues. This one is just, I really like Carnage, but this is on a whole nother level. This is something that I just sat in silence afterwards, and I didn't even know what to do with myself afterwards, because it's just such a devastating piece. But it's also a piece of healing as well, and of empathy, which I think is really important nowadays.
Very cool. What's next on the list?
My number 4 is something completely different, and that is Cryptozoo, an animated film by Dash Shaw. I also saw this at the Sundance Film Festival, but also at the San Francisco Film Festival. And this one actually has a release date. I forgot to say, Mass does not have a release date yet, but it has been picked up by a studio that should be coming out soon. Cryptozoo will be coming out in theaters and on streaming August 20th. And this is one trippy psychedelic movie. It is unlike any kind of animation you've ever seen before. It is strictly for adults, definitely not for the children. There's someone that's literally nude the whole entire movie. But it is about these crypto zookeepers who have a zoo filled with mythical creatures, and they're trying to hunt down this dream-eating creature. And also they're kind of going through this existential crisis on if they should keep these mythical creatures locked up or if they should set them free. It's very unique. It's different, but I think it's definitely something. If you're an animation fan, you should definitely check it out.
Very cool, man. What is there? Could you match it up to anything else you've seen before? This sounds really out there.
Honestly, I mean, it kind of harkens back to I don't know if you guys know Ralph Bakshi. Yes. He did Franz the Cat. Is that what it's called? It's the first NC-17. Yeah, the first NC-17 animated film. He also did Wizards. Fritz, yes. Fritz the Cat. It's kind of adult like that. It's kind of like Wizards a little bit, but definitely nothing has come out in the last couple of decades that is anything like this movie. It is a singular piece of work.
Sorry, muted myself. Very cool. All right.
So yeah, once again, that's coming out August 20th.
Streaming and
in theaters.
Okay.
I'm writing
And then my
everything
number
down.
3.
Number 3's up, baby.
This is Coda. If there's any movie on this list that people have heard of, I'm sure that it's probably this one. This also premiered at Sundance, and it won the Audience Award and the Grand Jury Prize. It won both, and it was also the biggest acquisition in Sundance's history for $25 million. So that was a really big deal.
Big money.
Yes, big money. And this comes out on August 13th on Apple TV Plus. It is about a young girl who can hear, but the rest of her family, they're all deaf. And she aspires to be a singer. So kind of a difficult thing to want to be in a deaf family. So it's kind of her navigating her life after high school and going into college and what she wants to do with her life.
Who was the talent in it? Like I remember, I think I even saw your review. And speaking of which, folks, all of Shawn's reviews of all these films, which he did way back when he first saw them, are in a series of links under Lost in the Reel in the description of this video. So if you want to take a look at those, just get into the description. They're all there. But sorry, Shawn, I interrupt.
Yeah, no, thank
Even
you
as
for
I was
saying.
asked you a question, then I kept talking.
You're
not new here, Shawn.
I'm not. The talent involved. We have Shawn Hader, who was one of the main writers on Orange is the New Black. She also directed the Netflix film Tallulah with Allison Janney and Elliot Page, which is a fantastic movie. If you haven't checked that out, I would definitely check that out. And also the only deaf person in history to win an Oscar, Marlee Matlin for Children of a Lesser God. She is the mother in this film, and she is fantastic.
Yeah, she rocks. She's still
amazing.
And she's been she's had a career for quite a while now. It's awesome.
Yeah. But the whole cast in this movie is just, oh my gosh, phenomenal. It is hilarious and heartwarming. It's the definition of a crowd pleaser. I think people are really going to respond well to this film.
Well, it's certainly of the 5 of the films so far, that is the one that was on my radar. The other 3 now I'll have to put on it. Okay.
Yes.
What's next? What are we looking
Number
at?
dos. Once again, changing gears, we have a movie that I am so excited to talk about. I don't know if you can tell. It's called Vicious Fun.
Just a little.
I saw this at the Panic Film Festival, and this is actually coming out super soon on June 29th on Shudder. So if you don't have Shudder, and I know a lot of people don't because not a lot of their original films are all that good, but this is worth getting a subscription just to watch this film. It is the most fun I've had watching a movie all year. It is a film about a film critic for horror films, and it's very tongue-in-cheek, but he gets really drunk one night and he falls asleep in the bathroom of a bar and wakes up to a group meeting in the bar. And at first he thinks it's an AA meeting, but it is actually a Serial Killers Anonymous meeting. And he gets entangled into...
Of course.
Right?
As one does.
It is so much fun. There is just so much. There's like this 80s nostalgia that it brings, and also just a celebration of horror films in general. It also reminds me a little bit of this year's Willy's Wonderland. Have you guys seen that movie?
Well, we talked about doing it, but I don't know if Rob's seen it yet. I haven't.
Okay.
We haven't. We talked about it. It's on a list of, hey, we should look at these.
Yeah.
So that movie is, I have fun with it, but it's not a good movie. This, I think, is of a much higher quality, but it reminds me of Willy's Wonderland, and it's ridiculous. But it also just has this group of villains in this movie that are just all very distinct and unique. And I think that they're going to make a scene. And there's all these different ideas for spin-offs that can come off of this film, which they have talked about doing if it's successful. This is just a movie. If you love horror films, you have to watch it.
Sounds good.
Gotcha. All right.
Yeah.
And my number one.
Numero
is
uno.
My Heart Can't Beat Unless You Tell It To. I also saw this at the Panic Film Festival, and it is coming out. Another horror. But definitely more of a psychological thriller. This comes out June 25th, so also very soon, and that's going to be in theaters. It just had its premiere in the Chinese Theater in Los Angeles, and then also in the New York premiere at Tribeca, I think it was yesterday. And it stars Patrick Fugit from American Beauty.
Oh, yeah.
And it is a different take on the vampire film. And it's kind of like Let the Right One In, if you guys have seen that movie from back in the day.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
I love the Swedish. I haven't seen the American one, but the Swedish one was great.
Yeah, I love the Swedish film. That's all you need to see. I don't think you really need to see the remake.
Yeah.
But this movie, basically, it turns the vampire movie on its head by vampirism is almost like a disease. And it's these two siblings, their youngest brother has vampirism and needs blood to live. So they are basically serial killer siblings because they have to go out to kill people to feed their younger brother to keep him alive. And it's all about the sibling dynamics and the psychology of all of that, what it's doing to their family. This is an incredible film. The ending, it blew me out of the water. It is like, not a lot of horror films can land the ending, and this one just wraps it up beautifully. I also I Lost in the Reel. I'm doing an exclusive interview with the director next week, Jonathan Marcus,
Nice.
which I'm very, very excited about. Just because this is
Super
his
cool.
debut feature. It is. I'm so excited. And this is his debut feature. He has a screenplay that he's shopping around right now, a new one. And this is just, he had no idea how big this movie was going to become or if it would ever get a release. And it's getting a theatrical release, and he got to premiere it at the Chinese Theater. So he's very excited about all of that. So this is just an incredible movie. If you like psychological thrillers, horror films, vampires, anything like that, this is definitely a movie to watch out for.
Well,
I sense
That
a bit
all
of a theme here.
well, that all sounds super awesome, man.
Mhm.
Oh, somebody's got the echo on. Or echo off, the echo cancellation off. Let's look at the person who isn't wearing headphones.
Oh,
In the green room, literally.
I know.
Coming
right?
in from the Lost in the Real green room. Sean, what
I'll fix it.
for folks like I've already what else are you looking forward to? So you got this interview coming up. You're also now a part of the hashtag show, correct?
Yes.
Did you want to tell us a bit about that?
Yeah, I would love to. Thank you for bringing that up, Rob. So I am writing reviews for that hashtag show. It's literally thathashtagshow.com. They also have a YouTube channel. So yeah, I'm a critic on their website now, which is really exciting. So, get my thoughts out there in written word. if you don't want to look at my ugly mug.
Oh, don't say that.
How do you like
Don't
that?
say that.
Do you find that writing and then, of course, you're writing scripts to read, but do you find that's different for you, or? Yeah,
definitely. There's some movies that I can't bring myself to go through the whole process of writing the script and, doing a video and editing and the whole shebang. So it's kind of nice to still be able to share my thoughts, but just in written word. So I really like doing that. And it's definitely a different kind of thing. I do have a hard time because when you're writing something, it's all, you put in your inflections and the way you speak. So that's something that I'm still kind of adapting to do written word, but I'm having a great time doing it. So
yeah.
I've read
awesome.
a few of. Oh, sorry, Jim.
No, I just said that's awesome.
Oh, it is. I've read a few of your reviews already, and I like it. Still has some of your personality. Like, I mean, you've got it's a different medium, of course, and you've got an editor who's got a site tone to protect.
Exactly.
And nothing against that, but it still has you. It is missing your poetic ratings, but the percentage thing, I'm like I could do without this, but that is what it is.
I know. I miss my ratings, but you can't win them all.
Well, and you've got a whole channel where you can do it however you want, right?
Exactly.
Well, Shawn, thank you so very much for coming in, sharing these films with us. Folks, everyone, you can find Shawn, of course, on Twitter at Lost in the Reel. Links to everything he's got, including his channel, in the description. And yeah, check out that hashtagshow.com for his written reviews. That's fantastic. Shawn, again, you're the hardest working man on the film YouTube beat. Thanks so much for sharing some of that hard labor with us.
He's the Nicolas Cage of movie reviewing. I'm just kidding.
I'll take that as a compliment, Jim.
You know what? And I think you should.
Yes.
What did Nick Cage in an interview said, well, why is it everything else you're supposed to practice? Why is it with acting? It's like, oh, he must be really good. He only does it once every 2 years. I mean, yes, he does pick some SHIT, as I'm sure, Shawn, in all your reviews, you have had to review some utter crap that like. Jim and I have a certain luxury in that we're maybe looking at 2 movies a week if I drop a hot mic review. Otherwise, we got the luxury of going, I think we'll pick that one.
Yeah.
Oh, I like that cherry.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is nice. There's like recently too, there's been some stinkers. Woo!
Well, maybe we'll have you back on that for we'll do like some kind of all right, the word let's get into the bottom of that barrel that we've all been in. All right, my friend. Well, listen, thanks again. Thank you so much for coming, for sharing with us. And we'll catch up with you soon. I think perhaps around the Emmy nominations, if not earlier.
Oh, yeah. Coming up.
All right.
I can't wait for that.
Yeah.
All right, my friend. Again, have a great rest of your day, brother.
Thank you so much, guys. We'll see you later.
Nice seeing you, Shawn. Take care.
Nice to see you too.
Always great to have company, eh?
Yeah. No, it's fun. Nice little. He's got a lot of energy. It's awesome.
Yeah. Listen, before we jump into the rest of my agenda, Jim, why don't we say a quick hi to everybody in the chat?
Yeah,
it's been an active chat already. I see we just picked up. Oh, look at this. Man of Movies has got to go. Or he's going to try, because of course he is in Eastern Daylight Time, so it's quite late.
Oh, yeah.
Out in Florida. But hey, Jonathan, good to see you here, man. And then we got Buria Rokar, Jace, popping in.
Yay.
Hey, Buria, we'll definitely I might even cut it out into a separate movie. His Shawn's time on the flick. But anyway, good to see you here, man. Feel free to stick around. Then, of course, we got the great friend, the Upside Down.
Upside Down.
Oh, good Lord. 1/3 of the Balmoral Street Research regulars, Walt, from the left coast of Canada.
Left Coast representing.
The Vancouver Canucks, home of the Vancouver Canucks, when they were a thing, or are they a thing?
They're on break. They're on golf break right now.
I see. Out in the course. All right. We also have. Let me see if I can't find his most recent. You know what? I cannot. There we are. Yeah, Eric might have already left, but he did drop in. Great to see you, Eric. Thanks so much for popping by. And then, of course, I'm going to just jump right up to the top here. Richard and Katie, the other 2/3 of the Balmoral Street Research regulars. Great to see you guys here.
Yay!
Very much a big yay for them. And I think that's, we tagged Eric. I think that's about it for now. I think I'm going to get back to the agenda.
Sounds good.
And let me get my you-know-what together. Where are we here? Okay, first, folks. Where am I? I really did have all this stuff together. Oh, there we are.
It's Sunday night, which is sort of Monday morning, but yeah.
Okay, folks, I just want to let everyone know I finally got the short version of our Cruella show up, and I'll make sure that there is a card on the replay, but you can also find the link in the description. And what it is, if you're looking for the spoiler-free review of the movie, you'll find that link in the description. Jim and I had a lot of fun with Cruella last week, and this is kind of the, hey, I haven't seen the flick yet. Just the facts, ma'am, kind of video. All right. But Jim, here's an interesting thing. Let me put up another thumbnail. One of my favorite YouTubers out there, film commenter YouTuber. I think he's got a lot of production training, and he's coming at it from more of a screenwriter or a filmmaker angle. Mm-hmm. That's the way he sort of analyzes films. He's called Filmento, and he kind of looks at it. It's either film perfection or film failure.
Oh my gosh, that's a binary.
It's interesting. Of course, he finds the gray in it.
Yeah. Okay.
And this is one of the few ones where it's failure with a question mark on Cruella, and you can see a couple other films he's referencing there. He did a great piece on this flick. Pointed out something that you and I might have missed that I wanted to just briefly chat with you on.
Sure, yeah.
And I think he also got something fundamentally wrong. This may be my first reaction to another YouTuber's video. I might end up doing that. Little hot mic reaction.
Turf war.
Might have to do it. Yeah,
I feel like that montage in The Godfather where all those people get assassinated.
Yeah.
Like
Listen,
revolving door room.
Currently, we have 159 subscribers because every time we break 160, it goes right back down. He has over 500,000. I don't think there's not much turf to fight over here. Sure. We're more, ow, stupid mosquito.
Yeah.
Anyway, it was interesting though, Jim. I do think, and I'm bringing it up here in the show because a lot of other people remember our last week's show. Mm-hmm. He did point out that her character, Cruella's character, is a real character who drives the action. Even when she reacts, she recovers and pushes forward. She is a character with a motive. Mm-hmm. And is always driving that action. And yeah, we've seen other characters where we're kind of going, well, were they ever going to do anything? Or is it just, bouncing from one opponent to the other to one thing where they're always never in charge. Mm-hmm. And I thought it was kind of, I don't think that really changes my recommendation of the film, but I wanted to bounce that off you because he did make a great point about how this character she's doing what a lead character should be doing, driving the show.
Yeah.
And I don't think we noted that as much as we could have. And
Yeah, I mean, it's a valid point. Yeah, I mean, I guess
I'm still not changing my mind. Don't get me wrong.
With that said, even though we didn't necessarily like the movie or recommend it, still, when you see Emma Stone, I think I react to just even seeing the image of her as Cruella, and sort of, so you can sort of like the role, like the actor, but not like the movie, I think. And maybe that's playing a part there, is that she actually had something to do. She wasn't a seat filler. She wasn't a placeholder. Like, she was
not at
and
all.
It wasn't just, she wasn't just sort of just bouncing, bouncing from thing to thing. As you said, she's actually got she's got some motion, she's got some action, got some agency. And yeah, that could be something that
a real goal.
I think so. And I think as an actress, where she is right now, even if they didn't have that, she could probably insist on it. You know what I mean? Like, she could say, I don't feel there's enough motivation here. I mean, I'm just spitballing here, but yeah, I would be surprised if her character was a weakness in it with Emma Stone attached to it. But
I don't even think it, regardless, the character we see on the screen is a pretty well-drawn character. Mm-hmm. At least it does what a lead character should do. If this is the hero, anti-hero, whatever, they should be driving things. And she did drive things, so I kind of like that. Yeah.
And I think our story, our dislike of the movie came mostly from the story choice and the fact that it was wishy-washy, wouldn't take a side, in the telling of it. So
nothing he was saying in this video, and folks, I'll pin this video in the top comment as well. It's well worth, he's a YouTuber worth having on your subscription list. If you don't already. The thing, and you know what, I'll jump ahead now. What I disagreed with him. And you'll see he's referring to Charlie's Angels, and the most recent, the Solo. Oh, what the heck is the?
Yeah, I know who you mean. The one in the corner. Holy cow!
Sure, Margot Robbie played her. It can tell you how mediocre. Thank you. It can tell you how mediocre the film is that I can't pull it out of my. He's arguing that one of the reasons it's not a failure, or if it's a failure, it's certainly not because of this. He thinks it was a woman's empowerment story done properly. Now, without getting into Charlie's Angels, which is a hot mess for a number of reasons, I never read this film as any kind of woman's empowerment story. I don't think that's what Disney's been doing. Although, yes, they've been changing the way they've been writing women's characters. Is it women's empowerment, or is it really, we have decades of horrible sexism and we need to write some women's characters that are real and, a little broader and drive the action, and not just drive the action straight to the man rescuing them. So I really think he's read it wrong there. But I wanted to bring it up with you. I wanted to throw that out to the chat. And I also warn you all that I might do a reaction, because it's that kind of, again, to compare this to Charlie's Angels, I think is just there's women leads in it? Is that your frame of reference? I think talking about this, where it's more important to talk about this character in the context of how Disney has been approaching pretty well, actually, women's characters, especially women's lead characters, in a number of films of late. Mulan was a bit of a stiff, but I saw Raya and the Last Dragon the other day, and it got me in the feels. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I got a little misty about it, so... Anyway.
And of course, we're big fans of Moana here, so, in the clubhouse, but...
exactly. Anyway... I did. Yes, but I did. I wanted to put that on everyone's radar. I do recommend you go see the video, and at least then when you see my reaction to it, you'll know what was up my ASS.
I should say, just to comment on that, there's a lot of sort of faux girl power and that kind of thing out there, like just going through the motions of it. So, sometimes it just comes across as a gesture rather than something organic and real,
Well, I think, and he's made some arguments, there is you know what? I'm not going to say it now because I'm going to save it for the reaction video. Rob's hot mic reaction.
Save it for video.
Yes. Thank you. Okay. I think that's about it. Jim, I'm going to send you off the screen for a bit while I shamelessly take over and set up the movie we're actually gathered here today for. 1 second here. All right, folks, where are we? Oh, right, yes. All right, it's time to get to work. Tonight we are looking at Movie Trailers, A Love Story. Now, from IMDb, here's the log line. Movie Trailers, A Love Story, a documentary examining the creation and evolution of movie trailers and their passionate, yet sometimes complicated, relationship with film fans. The film was written and directed by John Campea, who is the host and producer of a long-running daily YouTube film review and discussion channel, The John Campea Show. It features a number of folks, including, and here, it's quite the extensive list of interviewees they brought up. It includes filmmakers, trailer producers, trailer fans who've managed to make their fandom into a living on the internet, on YouTube. It's like just this weird sort of YouTube economic circle in this movie. Anyway, let's go as far as its ideological ingredients go. Bear with me, my friends. That's what I'm looking for. Well, maybe I'm not looking for that, actually. Never mind. Sorry, everybody. Okay, let's take a look at it. Would it earn a reframe stamp? No, it would not. Is it union made? No, it isn't. Would it earn a Bechdel, did it pass the Bechdel test? No, it didn't. And is there any class consciousness? No. So I think what we really got there, I'm a little surprised. Jim, that's 0 out of 4. I think that's got to be our first time, eh?
Yeah. Well, this one's a very particular one too. So it's not like it's your standard, coming of age tale or what have you.
Yeah.
It's a bit of a sort of a mini production, and so very focused, and a documentary, right? So, so it's a little bit of an odd duck.
It is, yeah. And you're absolutely right. Well, let's get into it.
Sure, yeah.
Why don't we bear with me?
Absolutely. What
are your first thoughts?
Well,
we should just rewind.
Sure, yeah.
Just repeat that.
Sure. The worst, I think, I was thinking to myself earlier today in terms of how to introduce this, and I thought, being uninteresting is probably the worst crime a documentary could make. Then I thought, probably accuracy is more important. But so the second worst crime would be to be uninteresting, and this one's interesting. So yeah, I'd say this is it's got a couple things going for it. It is interesting. It wavers from time to time, but it's only, I think it's a It's a tight
80 minutes.
80 minutes, yeah.
And
it's
very brief credit roll.
Yeah, yes. It's interesting. It's not about crime. It's a documentary that's not about any kind of civil rights thing that's going to make you sad and mad. So it's a fairly lighter documentary, and I thought it was quite interesting. I liked it. It sort of made me think. I mean, it's a love story about movie trailers. I think sort of existentially didn't ask some questions like, what does this do for our sense of attention? We always talk about scenes that breathe, and meanwhile these guys are talking about you needed to be grabbed in the first 3 to 6 seconds or something to that effect. And I thought, whoa, that's not.
You need a bumper you need a cold open to your trailer, or people will switch.
Yes, yeah. So there's a few things like that we can get into, but on the whole, it was perhaps a fairly. It could have been a little more critical, and there's another element in it that we'll talk about that I thought it should have, but I liked it and I thought it was good, and it covered a lot of bases. It's divvied up into 10 chapters. I'll say it now. What I thought it was missing was almost a case study of where you look at one particular. They talked a lot about it in general, but you needed to see almost, and it doesn't have to be the whole movie. It could have been one chapter, but just 10 minutes, take a look at one. They talked a lot about different trailers, but you needed to take a look at one from the start to the end. And I think that would give us a better sense. But other than that, I thought it was pretty good.
I agree wholeheartedly. Well, you saw my head nodding.
Yeah.
I'll start with the problems, highlight, and we'll get into it.
Sure.
I agree with you. First of all, how do you make a movie about movie trailers and not at least have one sequence on how a movie trailer's made?
Yeah.
Like, just walk us through one. Mm-hmm. You've got all these talented people. Could we have a beginning, middle, and end? The other thing, I think you hinted at it. You say it's a love story. I really missed the fact that there wasn't someone who kind of, and honestly, it should have been John Campea. It's not like he's never been on screen before.
Yeah.
He should have been, him or somebody, some audience proxy on screen saying, I remember the first trailer I saw. Like, there was a lot of those anecdotes, and they're really charming, and they made me think of some of those experiences, but it would have been nice to have been walked through the movie, even if they weren't necessarily doing every interview, but they were the ones that there was a bit of an arc that we're saying, this is where I first fell in love with trailers. Mm-hmm. And then this is where trailers hurt me in my heart. And, like some sort of way to, an audience proxy on screen to bring us through this. And so at times I agree with you, Jim. It's kind of interesting. It's kind of light. I don't think I was ever actually bored. Mm. Ever really. I find this stuff interesting, but it's so inside baseball that there's no, I couldn't. It's interesting because I'm into the subject.
Yes.
I wish there was somebody who could walk us through. I wish there was a bit of an arc, and it's interesting, but kind of a big trivia dump at times. Like it's. The chapters, the way they did that, I thought was fine. And it's a perfectly fine, light movie. It's a perfectly fine, light, interesting documentary. It didn't offend me. There you go.
And it wasn't, again, I take a look at a lot of the podcasts I listen to, they tend to be mostly American, something that no offense, there's a big world out there. Try to get a little bit away from that, but also true crime and politics. And it's sort of, this is North American. I think Campea is from Halifax.
Canadian, yep.
Yeah, he's Canadian, which I didn't know until today. But so it's not a true crime. It's just a nice sort of a different subject, sort of a look into a different subject. A little bit uncritical at times, but it's a good start anyway, and 80 minutes is a fairly quick watch. So
yeah. So first, it is pronounced Campea, although I kind of flip between the two.
Okay.
And second, so is it worth your time?
Yeah, I'd say so. Yeah.
Okay. I agree. The only qualifier I'd say is it's especially worth it if you're really into movies.
Yes.
If you're not really into movies, Sunday afternoon time killer.
Yeah.
It's inoffensive.
Yeah.
Okay. With that out of the way, I think we're about to enter the spoiler zone. I did also want to take a quick chance to... Yes, we are in the spoiler zone. Looks like the Upside Dan had to leave us, so I wanted to quickly wave goodbye in case he catches it later. And let's take that off and let's head into what might be the quickest discussion in this, the craft.
Yeah.
I mean, what do you say about talking head on this side of the screen, talking head on that side of the screen?
Yeah.
Hey, we'll play a trailer now.
Well, just, I didn't take any notes. I took like 2 full pages of notes, but I didn't mention music at all. So I don't even know if there was music. I didn't. There was so much to sort of gab about in this movie that I really didn't notice. But
they talked about music and music cues, but a lot of times I think they couldn't, you just couldn't afford the rights. You look at all the clip credits they had, all
public domain or
Creative Commons.
Yeah, okay,
everyone.
Like a lot of "Take Me Out to the Ball Game" and turkey in the straw. And
well, no, they hunted for those clips. They found that were Creative Commons that they could play. They referred to music, but I suspect this whole thing was financed out of Campea's own pocket.
No, I'm sure. Yeah.
One of his collaborators, associate producer. He's also a collaborator on a show. Where is he? Yes. Robert Meyer Burnett was, I do. I suspect it was it's a tight little crew. Campea, his wife Anne. You look at the credits, it's like, hey, the editor is also the second camera person.
Yeah. No, it was in terms of craft. Yeah, I didn't really. I mean, it probably wasn't much of a script when you're dealing with mostly interviews and stuff. It was cut well. I guess it was edited coherently. Yeah, you're right. I didn't actually think too much about the craft. I was mostly. It sort of made me think a lot about our habits and our my own experience with watching trailers and things like that too. So.
I think we can give a bit of a shout out though to the interviewers. None of the interviewees were whether it's picking the right ones, but also the right questions, encouraging them to engage. Do I see Ahmed? Do I see Jelly Duck in our chat, Jim?
Is there just
Jelly Duck?
Bing, bing. Yay.
I think that's something we can shout out. All the interviewees were engaging. They seemed interested in what they're talking about, even though I think, and I don't mean this as a cheap shot on them, but the folks from, is that Something Image?
Oh, the company, like the 3 people there, the blonde lady and the 2 guys.
Yeah, the 2 co-presidents and the head creative person. Again, not a knock on them, but it was funny that in some ways they did not. It was like, wow, I think you guys are really excited and animated. They seemed excited. They seemed interested in the interview.
Yeah.
But it was, these people where you're like, bet you it's really quiet in that office.
Yeah.
It's that is quite the amusing anecdote. No, that's too snobby. But do you know what I mean? They're probably just a quiet office, maybe all introverts. But even they did not seem disengaged.
No.
no one ever gave a monosyllable answer. They were all, and I think that's a testament to Campea's ability to, or whoever he got to do the interviews.
Yeah.
Ability to pull out a story out of them.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. I didn't write it down, it turns out, but it was, I know which one you mean. The people that actually make them, and sort of who managed to apologize for sometimes giving it away, giving the surprises away in the trailer. And they're like, well, sometimes the client wants that, and...
Well, and it's interesting how they talked about, maybe let's jump into story. Like,
sure.
This, this might be one of her shortest shows yet. That's not a bad thing either.
No.
But you're right, Jim. That was one of the interesting things you learn. And the way they did their chapter things, you did get to learn some stuff, including some of the nuts and bolts behind the scenes of, they do a screening. The audience says, we want to know more. And when we tell them more, they go, yep, we're very happy.
What did they say? It should make you feel something, I think. If you make me feel something, you've done a good job. And then another one is they made the distinction of plot versus story. That's all I wrote down. I'm not sure which one was which, but yeah, there is a distinction there that you're not just
plot is just details,
checking plots, that you're actually telling, a rolling, living story, people can get into.
Here's something Richard L. says: enjoyed the doc, but not sure the main takeaway. Unlike a lot of documentaries that really want you to walk away with a particular message. Mm-hmm. I think that alludes to what I think what we both first said. It's a nice thing, but it's why I would love to have had a narrator, or not a narrator, a person on screen walking us through, telling us a story telling us the love story, and walking through it. But yeah, you make a great point there, Richard L.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Ahmed says few movie trailers give you spoilers. It's true. It doesn't happen anywhere near as much as we like to think it does. I think it's when it does happen, when it really gives away the whole movie, when it gives away a twist, when you're like, well, we all know where we're going,
Yeah.
Everyone but the audience will be surprised when that big reveal happens.
See, even when I was a kid, one of the takeaways I got is that there's not one set way of doing it. Like it's not a science and it's not a formula. That you can have a client that, for whatever reason, wants to show Tom Hanks in Castaway. Spoiler alert, post-rescue, they think that that's an acceptable thing. So there's not just one way to do it. I think for most of the industry, there seems to be one way. Like a lot of times I'll see a movie and there's nothing in you can get up to say it's a 90-minute movie, you get up to the hour mark and you're like, okay, I've seen everything I've seen in the trailer, and then you don't see anything in the last half hour that you saw in the trailer. So that's sort of one thing. Another thing is the TV trailers. Next week on The Walking Dead, which I used to watch, they would always distract you. You're like, oh, that person's totally dead, and it just the way they cut it, it turns out that they weren't totally dead after all. It was just the tricky way they cut the trailer. So yeah, it's there is art behind it, and it's not done the same way every time. So and it's easy to get, it's easy. Even kids know. Like when I was young and I saw Raiders of the Lost Ark for the first time, I sort of thought to myself, this can't be the end, because they have sort of a false ending. They're like, oh, okay, Marion, everything's good to go. We can relax. Everything's solved. And you're like, wait a sec. I got a bad feeling about this. And because there was, I think, one or two scenes that were in the trailer that I hadn't seen yet. So even as a young man, I had missed out. I didn't miss out on that. So kids pick up pretty early on trailers as well. But yeah.
Here, I want to play this because I think this is kind of we're talking about it, takeaways, and what is the takeaway here? I'm not even sure that was an intended takeaway because it seemed to be I remember that it was the critics talking about it and the film trailer people explaining it, but not exactly that thing. I didn't read it as there's multiple ways of making a trailer. I read it as there's a right way to make a trailer, and then there's the giveaway way.
Yeah, well, yeah. Sorry.
Like,
I should say it's just like, I suppose I put it the wrong way, but that you will still, even in this age of people that are that can read the signs, you're going to have a trailer that drops the ball, and don't be surprised at that. So that was my takeaway.
Gotcha. You know what? I've saved this forever because I've always wanted to do a riff on it. But here is, and this is, I'm going to share this on the screen now, folks. Bear with me. We'll do that. We wish to share the audio. Yes, we do. Let's bring down our tunes. This is, and I'll pin this. I will pin this. Here is this, and let's just give it the whole screen, and the whole screen, and unmute, and here we go.
That thing I referred to earlier? Well, it's happening, and it will destroy us all. Someone has to stop this thing. And that someone is you.
You didn't think it would be that easy, did you?
I don't think I'm the one. I'm not the person who can stop this thing.
You are that person. Now take my hand!
For every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. I am the reaction.
This is a little embarrassing, but I totally want to see that now. or I want to find one that fills that void.
It's why I've saved it. It's in my watch later list right at the bottom. I have had this in there for a couple of years now because I'm like, I need to make,
brilliant.
And it's almost, I need to make a trailer for us, Jim, our commercial.
Oh, yeah.
Except based on that.
Yeah.
But it is though. And this is obviously a kind of a parody of it, but it's also like there's a template.
Yeah.
That's how you make that's every action movie ever. All the VFX.
That was awesome. And there is a way to do it, and that, you know, the sort of the music choice. I think we've spoken about that before as well. And it was a lot of fun.
And I think story-wise, that's what's missing from this movie. I mean, as good as it is, and I don't want to beat up on it, but I'm like, boy, it would have really been nice if we could walk away knowing how to make a trailer, like, or walk away watching a trailer differently. I'm not sure we're going to watch a trailer all that differently. Well, I shouldn't say that. After watching this 2-minute thing, we're all going to watch an action movie trailer differently. Hey, there's all the VFX.
Yeah, you know, when you go to, and I've mentioned it before too, but when you go to the Pops, you know, and you see the Winnipeg Symphony Orchestra or whatever doing the music, it always makes me, like the music from the movies, it always makes me appreciate the music better. And I, again, as I've said before, I now stay through the lyrics when I'm in a theater. And God knows when that's going to happen again for Manitobans, but I know it's happening in the States. But I sit, you know, my wife and I, we've always sort of sat through the final credits. And, you know, where else are you going to get a sound system like that, number one, playing, you know, that kind of music, right? And it sort of adds to the texture of it, and you read the final credits and figure out a few other things. But so I know what you mean, that it's not going to necessarily make us look at trailers any differently, and that's where I think they should have had even a small look at, you know, following it from point A to point B, like you know, not necessarily even be inside the room, but discuss how it changed.
Well, it's interesting. Here's Richard's comment here. Actually, before Richard's comment, first of all, DMG hockey game must be over.
Or it's tomorrow, I think, maybe. I've been working all day and then this, so.
Here's Richard's comment. I wonder if more humor could have added to it. Maybe a mock trailer at the end. Voiceover in a world of boring documentaries. One comes forward to change everything.
Yeah.
What's funny about this is we as film fans, that was another thing that I thought could have added value to the story is, I'm not like one streeter. They made this in 2020 and 2019. Mm-hmm. So they could have been just outside a theater and saying, hey, what did you think of the trailers? You know, like Campea does have an axe to grind about the amount of trailers and a whole section, they had survey data, but never once did they just, hey, what do you think of trailers? Do you like them? Don't you? Like, we didn't get any of that. But what I find especially interesting, Richard's comment is both accurate and shows like an understanding. I think we may, in a lot of ways, we all have an understanding of the medium. Mm-hmm. You know, like it's beyond a good idea. It shows just somebody who watches a lot of trailers going, oh, this would be funny, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, that, and he is a member of the best chat on the internet. So, I mean, we don't want to take too much away from from our audience being just better. DMG says, always seems like with 3-4 trailers for films nowadays, there are elements in trailers that don't even make the theatrical release or the wrong take. You know, they did talk about that in the film. Like, that is part of it. It's a pretty good movie. The chapters thing kind of, it focused interview discussion on that area, you know. Now we've got some Buria enjoyed the video. And again, yes, folks, I will put up.
Yeah, I did.
Because I even as I was hearing it, I'm like, oh, I could get copyright tagged for all the music in this. I may have to mute it later. Well, YouTube will tell me that, but I will pin it regardless. It's something, well, I was still laughing, and I've seen it lots. Repeat viewing is worth it. Okay.
It almost reminds me of there's a song called the grunge song, I think, and it's like that. It's like a meta thing. It's like, first we play low and our voices kind of whisper, and then we play higher. It sort of does that. Yeah.
Exactly. And you think of, Jim, how many ads, SNL ads, and really trailers for what was the most Downton Abbey?
Oh yeah.
Effing genius.
Yeah.
Actually, folks, here's a mission for everybody. We need to comment later on your favorite trailer parodies. Let's collect a nice big fat list. Comment below. I'll put them I'll keep editing the pinned thing on best trailer. Cause Jim, that SNL one where they're, a lot of, you'll stick to the back of your seat or whatever.
Oh yeah.
That was genius. I think we need to collect those, folks. So please come back and comment on that.
They actually did 2 Downton Abbey ones, and it's really funny because there's that one. Yeah, he was commenting on the upcoming movie, but the other one that they had before was brilliant. It was Andy Samberg. It was as if the Spike Network, which is a bro network,
Does it still exist anymore?
I think it's now Paramount or something like that, or anyway. So I don't think it's called that anymore. But
perhaps one of our Balmoral Street research irregulars will help us out with that. But so continue.
He was introducing it as if he's breaking it down for the Vice or for the Spike crowd. So he's like, there's all kinds of funny old cars. Hey, is that your great car, old man? He goes, my other car's a bike. He's sort of making fun of it. And there's an old chicken lady, and then they show Maggie Smith, and so he's trying to soften up the Spike crowd for it. I'm not doing it justice. Obviously, it's kind of great. But the other, I will just quickly mention one other thing is that there, and I'll try to find a link and we'll put it up. There's an old Garth Brooks scene, a skit where he walks. It's a movie crowd, and they're facing the audience, and they have all sat down to a movie. Again, I've mentioned this one before, and it's just endless trailers, and it goes on for it goes after 2 days later, and they're still watching trailers, and it's obvious that they're sort of stuck in this universe of trailers, and they start eating everybody, and there's some cannibalism and stuff like that, and it gets sort of ridiculous, and then the punchline. Well, I won't give away the punchline, but it's just about, they say, oh, I Feel Good is in every one of these trailers, and they say, oh, another Shelley Long movie. So there's a kind of few digs in it, but it's one of my favorite scenes, skits.
I think was Rick and Morty did something like that with one of the interdimensional cable shows, their version of a clip show with the 2 brothers who, and it's just a running gag as they bounce around from channel to channel. A few folks have commented on the scene in the trailer that isn't in the movie. What I remember was, Jim, Kevin Costner's Prince of Thieves, which I'm going to say now was a lot more popular when it came out. It was not made fun of at the time. It was a hot movie. Made Alan Rickman's career. Between that and Die Hard really kind of set him up as a film star. But they had a shot in the ad that was so popular because it was that arrow, and then it followed the arrow.
Oh yes, yeah.
And that they put it in the movie because it was such a popular shot in the commercial.
Yeah, and that would have been pre-internet as well.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that 80s, right? 80s, late 80s, early 90s.
Well,
I'm going to find out.
Really quickly, another thing about SNL, not a skit, but that was always one of the best shows to watch 4 trailers, again, pre-internet, when you were like, what's coming out? And I guess it was maybe the crowd that was watching, a younger demographic, but you would always
young
watch
white males, aged 18 to 24. Yeah.
Guaranteed they would have 1 or 2 really great trailers. This is back in the day, of course, that you wouldn't see anywhere else. And you'd be like,
long
okay,
ones.
Yeah. So that's the other thing about it.
Okay, why don't we, it's more of a gab fest about great trailers. We can continue that, but I think it is time maybe then to move into the meaning of it all. At the same time, like, there's not much there as far as story goes. Like it,
no,
and nor should it be. Like I said, I would have liked a little more, but I wasn't offended by it. I felt my money was well spent. I am glad I picked this flick.
Yeah. And it's probably not that Campea is hurting in the pocketbook or anything, but you're in a way you're supporting a small time filmmaker, right? With I don't know if Vimeo rentals goes directly to him, but
I think the deal's pretty good. And he even, when I say it's on Amazon Prime in the US and the UK, they still got to pay too. It's one of those self-published things, but because he has a platform that he could advertise it, I think that's the, I don't mind supporting him. He's big time to you and I, 159 subscribers to north of 500,000, or I think or high 300,000 or something. Like he's a working man. He's almost like a radio guy. He's got his show, does his thing, made this movie. I think he made this movie sincerely because he just loves movie trailers. He loves everything about film. Without necessarily chasing after stars. Like, he's not one of those, what they used to call back in the day, quote, whores. He just really loves movies, loves everything about them. This isn't the only, I don't think it's the only film he's made. I know his buddy Robert Meyer Burnett has made a couple of shows, like a couple of movies, narratives. I think he just made this because he thought it was a good idea, and it was another reason to spend some time talking about movies.
Yeah. That's a little feather in your hat, and got another movie out. Not too bad a deal.
Yeah. We got DMG said the National Network turned into Spike TV, turned into something else, turned into Paramount Network.
Yeah.
Well, there we go. Oh, 1992 for Prince of Trumps.
The one, go ahead.
Oh, yeah, no, shoot, Jim.
Oh, just Vlad is just mentioning Alfred Hitchcock there too.
Yeah.
And they did, if you hadn't seen the movie, they talk about that one quite a bit where he's
do
walking through the house and stuff, which I saw when I was a young man. Vacationing in California with my father and stepmom, so
that was a real trend. It would be the hello there.
Oh yeah.
I was just taking a break from my most recent picture. Let me show you around the set and the star, literally, Cary Grant or whoever.
Yeah,
I loved those. I even when I first got into film, made my own pieces of I might have made a couple of those that will never see the light of day.
Yeah.
Oh, Buria's got to go. Thanks for coming by, Buria. Really appreciate it. They had a flair to them, and that was certainly the style for a while, hey? Do you think, though, Jim, and this is to everyone, and I would have liked to have seen maybe more discussion of this in it, we do get that with all the extras, the cast, the cooked cooked in, they call it an EPK, the electronic press kit. And that'd be a series of canned interviews with the stars. And so that it can be just cut and paste into anybody's TV show. Stuff like that. That in some ways, some of these older styles of trailers, why would they come back? We get it already,
Yeah. Well, you can argue that a lot of the DVD extras are were almost sort of like that,
but that's exactly what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That electronic press kit, which is, that's the DVD extra. That's we don't need a trailer doing it. We produce it already.
The thing I think is hilarious too is that old Hollywood was so sort of dirty and slimy. I could just if you actually did that, like camera shows up, you'd be like, yeah, I want Louis B. Mayer dead, and oh hey, the camera grip, never mind, you can cut that, right? It would.
Okay, can you please drive the sex worker back to her regular abode, his regular abode?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, right. My assistant.
Who scheduled this? Like Cecil B.
Because I'm sure it's so clean now.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah, that's true. But we were just riffing. But it was a little bit wooden, but it's appreciated. There's it was kind of sweet too. But
yeah. What do you think? What do you think Campea's point was in this film? What's the meaning? What's the meaning of the piece?
I think it was a love story, and I think it took it almost. It's like like a trailer exists independent of the movie, which is kind of a weird thing to think because it's obviously a byproduct. But I think it's almost like it is treated like its own.
No
thing.
trailers are made without a movie causing them. There is a cause. We have a movie, therefore a trailer must be made.
Yeah. But it's almost he sort of treats it like its own sort of form, like a haiku as opposed to like a longer poem or something to that effect. So in a way, it was an appreciation. I didn't find that it was very reflective. They talked a lot about the first Star Wars trailer for the new batch, the Phantom Menace back in 1999, and how they appended it to the front of Meet Joe Black, which was a Brad Pitt vehicle that I don't think I ever saw. But a lot of people went to see Meet Joe Black, paid their full movie ticket, watched the trailer, and then left. And okay, that's whatever. Why wouldn't you want to catch the movie? I don't know. Maybe it didn't appeal to you either. I don't see that as a victory for movies, though. Like it seems that and they said, well, Meet Joe Black made a lot of money, but for me as a filmmaker, that would be
made
sort
of a tiny little bit of extra dough in a couple of markets where you have such a large consumer base that some of them will be as crazy enough to go to a movie just to see a trailer.
That's almost nightmarish, though. Like people buying a ticket not to go to your movie. Like that's sort of the opposite reason of becoming a filmmaker. And the other thing too is that the 3 to 6 second quote, 3 to 6 seconds to grab someone's attention, and then the guy, the trio of the business group or the company that made trailer said, just make it compelling from the get-go. Like this. Well, isn't that what you're trying to all the time? Like, anyway.
I think I'll defend the second before we go to the previous comment regarding going to theater just to see the on that second item, Jim. That's really just the nature of YouTube, right? Most of these trailers are still being pushed out as ads.
Yeah.
So you're watching a video and either there's a mid-roll, a pre-roll, or a post-roll, but you've got 5 seconds you're forced to watch before you can click the skip ad, move on with your life.
Yeah.
And it is interesting that all of a sudden the advertiser is like, okay, I only have 5 seconds to get them to hear the rest of my message. Now you got some who are really good, like there was the hackers that are going, I won't have to pay a nickel. I'll just get my message in that first 5 seconds and I won't care what they do.
Yeah.
But for a trailer, it's like, we don't have any, our standard shtick on TV won't work here. And so I thought that was kind of actually interesting. I didn't find it terribly depressing. It's like, well, if you knew that I could switch off, I bet you TV would have done it the same way. It's like, okay, we got to own them right away. And yeah, you're right. Like I kind of shrugged myself. It's like, shouldn't that be the goal at the beginning?
Yeah, exactly.
But back to the seeing the going to see the trailer just to see the trailer. I think that like almost invites deeper conversation about fandom and the extreme fan. And again, we had no regular, like, and maybe it's not necessarily an intended meaning, but I think Campea and all these folks talking about it, they're like, there's a tier of people who watch movies and they're in that higher tier, that says this is where we truly love it. But they love it as a fan, which I think is different. It's there's something disturbing, but more about the fandom thing. The Star Wars fan, it's like, you're going to see this. You can record it on television. Are you really going to spend money? But even that part, I'm kind of hedging my bet. Like, some are just going to be out and out lying. They didn't do that, but they heard someone did it, and so they're like, well, I'm a keener. But a lot of them they're all, like, he's interviewing everyone in L.A. They're all in L.A. And a massive market. I mean, California is as big as Canada, so you get this massive market. Of course there's going to be some ding-dongs, as I'm sure there's a handful of ding-dongs across our great nation.
Oh, yes.
Across the Great White North that did the same thing. But the vast majority are like, I don't know, it's a movie. Oh, wow, did you see that trailer? Yeah, it was totally cool. Gonna go see Jack. Yeah, which I watched and could never finish.
Meet Joe Black?
Yeah, it was not an entertaining film.
No, it didn't appeal to me either, so I didn't see it. But the funny thing is the guy who said he got his ticket, kept his ticket, went the first time to see the trailer, and then
hung out for an hour and a half with his buddies.
Didn't watch it. What can we do for the next 2 hours? Watch the movie. And then we went back in to watch the trailer a second time. So
as though this is something to be proud of, yes. But this is what I mean, though. I think that's like such a narrow slice.
Yeah.
Such a tiny, and that's the thing, is this is, whether he meant it to or not, he has created a movie for, it's super inside baseball. People outside can enjoy it and can get something out of it, but I don't think Campea, I don't think any of them really give a rat's ass about those folks. I don't think that factors in. Or if it does, they think everyone does think like they do. And it's like, no, most people don't. I mean, you could argue, Jim, we're film fans. We dedicate an evening a week plus other time for over a year now. I've put a lot of effort into our little show here. I wouldn't fucking do that. Not then, not now. So I think that's one of the, let's say, if I have a bigger criticism, it's like, Campea, who are you talking to? Who's supposed to watch this movie? Why should we love trailers? Although at the same time, I think you're right, Jim, and it'd be interesting to get Matt Flisfetter's comment. You're right. It's a filmmaker treating this as its own independent thing, worthy of comment. Very
Yeah,
postmodern
yeah.
of them.
Yeah, and you know,
Let us
you
all
could,
refer to our text, postmodernism and Blade Runner.
you know, you could probably even take that further, like watch a bunch of trailers, never see the movie, and then just rate the trailers. You know, that you can sort of, you know, double down on it, even take it a little farther if you're going to say that this is a whole separate kind of art form.
Yeah, I think there's more could have been done with it to either make it even funner and more engaging for a wider audience without, you know, and not hurting anything, not taking away anything, but, you know, talking, just expanding it a little, making it in a way a little wider and also a little deeper. It's funny when you go so niche, maybe you're not getting as deep as you think you are. It's niche doesn't mean deep. It could still actually be kind of shallow. And well, I don't want to say it's shallow. I don't want to, you know, smear it like that. It ain't deep either.
Yeah.
Higher Tears for Fears. DMG with another zinger. Another zinger from DMG.
The funny thing too that is some of the films that it quotes as, you know, like saying, "Oh, this was a great trailer and it led to great box office and stuff." I mean, they bring up Dread, which is, you know, they bring up Hitman. Of course, the very first movie with a trailer was Pleasure Seekers, which is kind of funny, because what is a moviegoer if not a pleasure seeker? But that was back in the day, 110, 108 years ago. That was the very first movie with the trailer, which they showed after the movie. Ergo, trailer, which I didn't. That was I learned that. I like the old stuff. That was quite interesting. But what else did they mention here? Southpaw, well, that's not too bad. Negotiator, but they took a look at a lot of some of the movies that they discussed were not high end movies. They're sort of like
one of the highlights of the piece was the producer of that PC. You know what, the Hitman.
Yeah,
you know, even the way he described it. Well, they invited us to see the trailer as a courtesy to us. Like he's in no way was he in charge of that. I love that whole idea of the producers, like the actual producers of the film, the director and that they're like, well, we will now show you how we're going to advertise your film. You know,
exactly. A little bit of a Chubby Rain moment there, I think.
But in no way are you. While you may consult, you have no vote.
Yes, yeah.
But even there, how it's like, hey, $22 million in opening weekend. Sank like a rock after that, but they made their money because of an effective trailer.
Yeah.
Before we move to announcements and everything, is there anything else you want to say about the meaning of this flick? You know, we still have our final thoughts to go through in that, but like really on the meaning, it's got to be the lightest fare we've seen to date, maybe.
I think so, and that's
while still being a worthwhile flick seeing. Worthwhile.
Yeah,
I do speak English goodly. Occasion on.
And that's not a bad thing. I mean, you know, we've dealt with a lot of sort of, you know, heavier topics and stuff like that. So, you know, it's a good summer flick, good summer documentary, kind of fun. And, you know, it's like one of those things when you talk about a particular art or anything, or like I always say, the best thing about Scrabble is when you're playing and it all the other words that you think of, right? It sort of, you watch this and or watching an award show, it sort of makes you want to watch movies, like the you know, the mock trailer you play too. It's like, I want to watch trailers now. You know, so
well, it is and one of the speakers did note that maybe just a trailer. Oh, she was formerly with Rotten Tomatoes. She talked about, a trailer has still got a beginning, middle, and end. You are going through a story arc. you know, and yeah, a good trailer gives you that thrill, but it also, you got amped up for a bit, and then you got brought down, and then you get amped up again, and then you got brought down. So that was kind of interesting. But it would be nice if he actually, if Campea had sort of said, here, this is what I want you to walk away with. Anyway, folks, before we move on to whether or not we thought the director succeeded or passed or failed, and of course, final thoughts, it is time to take a look at, I think, taking a look at what we're watching next weekend, Jim. Speaking of lighter fare, and then maybe not so light, why don't you introduce this one?
Certainly. So we're it's a little bit timely, been in the news lately. Our relationship with Canada's relationship with its First Nations people, and so we're taking a look at Cowboys and Indians, which is a movie set basically in Winnipeg and involving some stuff that went down in the late 80s, I believe. And I think Rob and I were students at the time, perhaps, but
teenagers.
Yeah. So some stuff that really sort of changed things. It was front page stuff. It was columnists, a lot of newspaper columnists. I remember Gordon Sinclair writing, being involved with this, of course. So that's what we're going to be taking a look at. We've talked about this one for quite a while, and it'll be interesting to watch. Adam Beach is in it, and he's known. He was in Suicide
the
Squad
poster
for about 5 minutes, but he was also in Wind Talkers and a few other things you might have seen him in. So he's enjoying a decent career.
And also, was it NCIS or no? He was in
Law and Order. That's right. Yeah,
Law and Order.
I think SVU for about a year.
Still there. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
yeah. No, he one of those folks. What was the first big movie he was in? Canada. His breakout role. All set on a res.
One of those Bruce McDonald movies? Is it?
Yes.
I'll know it if I hear it. But interestingly, I think he was also in Cowboys and Aliens, wasn't he?
Yes, he was.
Got two similarly titled.
And had an important role. Like he was that was not a nothing role. Boy, he's only a little younger than we are.
I know, it's depressing.
Dance Me Outside.
Dance Me Outside, yeah.
Yeah.
Full head of hair, good-looking guy.
Jerk. Jerk.
He was even in Suicide Squad for 5 minutes, as I said, but...
Yeah, barely there and died. First guy died. It's like one of those... Ugh.
At a beach! Oh!
All right, Jim. Let's go. We got one more comment from DMG. Trailers are an art form in and of themselves. Reveal too much, people whine about spoilers. Reveal not enough, it's already we've already seen this. Oh, that's a good point. Yeah, you got to give us enough to know that maybe we've seen it, but this is different.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Jim.
Yeah.
Another thing I would add to his comment that here, let me read it. I need to look at it again. We're also... Fudge, I can't... Hopefully I'll remember it in last thoughts.
Sure, yeah.
All right, Jim. Why don't you lead us with... Yeah, the director. Do you think Campea passes or fails? Are you going to give him a pass or a fail?
Yeah, I'll give him a pass. Yeah, I think it was enjoyable, and it I learned some stuff, and it sort of got me thinking about them. Not wasn't incredibly deep as we've been discussing, but it's 80 minutes long, and trailers are even shorter, so it's I wrote a 25,000 word poem on haikus. You can't go too You can't go too far with that. So
how deep can you go? You're absolutely right. And yeah, I agree with you. I give them a pass. It's a neat idea. We all know what a trailer is. Like, it's a neat idea to talk about them separately. And I remember a point in the film that they talked about Apple trailers, because I had an Apple TV a few years ago, and I remember pissing away whole evenings just going from high-end trailer to high-end trailer.
Oh yeah.
It was a nice way to spend an evening. I don't know about anyone else here, but I find trailers a lot harder to find and negotiate. There's too many curated lists. It's hard to, it's like, can't we just have, trailers I can pick and choose, not the list of BS that I've seen 18 other times.
Yeah.
Anyway. Okay, the next to last. Final thoughts, my friend.
I don't think we talked about this much. We might have mentioned it here. I just wrote down a quick note when I was watching this last night, is that it sort of brings up watching trailers and a movie about trailers. They didn't really talk about. I would like them to have talked to an editor, because it sort of brings up how important the editing process is in the movie, and so there's that, and they talked a little bit more about music, and I think music, they all do those sort of minor key versions of major key songs, and they sort of darken up old childhood favorites and things like that. So there's a certain process, but it was interesting to hear about the music sides of things. So it just sort of a little more information about that. But yeah, no, it just sort of like it makes you want to pay attention a little deeper to these things. Before we go, shut down for the night, I sort of would like to talk a little bit about experiences with trailers. But it was interesting, and they could have actually been about 15 minutes with a little more meat, and I think it would have packed a little more of a punch. But it's sort of a joyful celebration of trailers. So.
Yeah, and as much as I was criticizing it before, Jim, about being super inside baseball, at the same time, and this is something Katie, when she was guest hosting during Nomadland, and it's a perfect. She made the point where it's like, that's what the filmmaker wanted to do, and. Here, I think that I am reminded of her comment there with this film in particular, because it's an inside baseball thing. Here I am saying, wow, it could have been made wider, broader audience, blah, blah, blah. But maybe it's like, I really just want to talk to my other nerdy friends about this thing that we all kind of know about. So, maybe I got to cut them some slack. I'm probably not going to.
What was
I do have an echo of Katie saying that, and I thought it would be important to bring it up here. Richard makes an interesting comment here, and I think this is something I want to bring up later, but I want to put a pin on this. Richard, who writes movie summaries for Netflix? Those cheesy one-liners supposedly summarizing the movie, they are in caps terrible. Richard, I am going to push back on that just a touch. I am becoming an expert on log lines, and there's a number of them that I have had to change because they can be so awful. And I'm going to say the absolute worst for log lines is Amazon Prime.
Oh yeah.
They make Netflix. IMDb, I think, actually is probably the best for, there's a lot of times I'll just quote it straight. I won't have to edit it. Amazon Prime, though, it can be a paragraph and you still don't know what the movie's about. Netflix, they can be a little cheesy. Log lines are really tough because you are supposed to. It is the elevator pitch for a movie. It's, I better know what it's about by the end of it. and it should have some pizzazz. Pizzazz in one sentence can always feel a little, ooh, that's what is that smell?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Shashank.
We are joined. Hello, Shashank.
Who will be joining us next month in a very special collaboration?
Oh, nice.
So
Okay.
I think it's now, we have to, let's take a quick break or a quick moment there to talk about maybe giving us a like.
Oh, yeah.
Subscribe so you can be tuned. Stay tuned for that Shashank Vachari collaboration. Be the second, just as good as the first, if not better. Really excited about this movie. And then, of course, to make sure that you catch the live show, what do you got to do? You got to ring that.
Sorry, neighbors. Go down to the town square and ring the bell. Ring the tiny bell.
Alrighty, everybody. I think we've Shashank. Great to see you here. And yes, Shashank agrees with me. He is a man of taste and distinction, a member of the best chat on the internet. He agrees with me that IMDb has the best log line for film.
There's a summary of Wizard of Oz that I've seen on Twitter a few times, and it's like one of those things that somebody at TV Guide was having a good time, and it was something like, young girl comes to town, kills a woman, and starts a rampage with 3 outlaws or something. You know, it's
overthrows constituted government after murdering another woman.
something like that. But also, I should mention, so the cable company up here is in Canada that I subscribe to is
one of them.
One of them is Shaw. One of the two. Not a monopoly. Is Shaw, and often you get the movie description, and if it's too long, it just cuts off. You know, Humphrey Bogart stars in this classic about a captain of a boat in Africa, and he has to do ... It'll just like, what does he have to do? And constantly does this. It's sort of infuriating. But
Amazon Prime does that as well.
Oh, does it cut off? Okay.
And then it's like, and you go on to the movie's page, and there's no more. It's just there. Thanks for nothing, jerks.
Bye on you.
Okay.
I did want to. Before we cut off, I did want to ask, Rob, do you have any sort of favorite trailers or anything that made an impression on you at all, or is it all just sort of one big nerve-firing jumble or release of neurotoxins or neurotransmitters?
Right now, all I can think about is that trailer template, film title.
Okay. Because I remember years ago. Go ahead.
No, go.
I was just going to say, I before we came to air, I took a look at one that I thought meant that I was totally looking forward to that old Pineapple Express from 2008, because the trailer I thought made it look great, and they had MIA on the soundtrack, and it looked poppy. You had Seth Rogen doing this her hero's jump. To tackle the big baddie at some point. And I thought, this is going to be a great movie. I think it was a late August release, which is never a good sign. And it turned out to be sort of a very mediocre, druggy kind of comedy. But I still remember that, and I still remember, guys, you should check this out. And it sort of didn't amount to much ultimately. I mean, it was okay, but
you know what? I think that's a bigger conversation of the best, the worst. You could rank them, the trailers that, and I may even start doing this in future. It's like, we'll play the trailer, and part of the question at the end is, okay, did the trailer set up the movie properly? Okay, it's time to. It is. It's time. We got to move on. We've got one. You know what? We'll have to come back to that. All right, everybody. first of all, thank you all so very much for coming. We really enjoyed you making it out. We really enjoyed you guys. Again, you're the best chat on the internet, and we are so fortunate for you to be part of our show. Let's list them all off. We got DMG, of course. Shashank, so glad you made it, and so looking forward to collaborating with you again, and sooner rather than later. Richard, you know what? Maybe we can combine this with DMG's idea, but Richard, that is something I want to get into further, because I really do believe I've become an expert on log lines. And how ridiculous they can be. Who else do we got? Katie, thank you so much for coming out. Buria, I know you've already gone, but thank you. Walt, Vlad65, thanks again for coming by. We really appreciate it. And see, we could have a thing, our best, worst. Oh, Jim, this is what we need to do. And everybody, make comments later. Do we do an end of year? Maybe that's part of our end of year tradition, where we go, hey, the best and worst of trailers. The ones who gave up too much. We could have our own little trailer award show.
Sure, yeah.
Nope.
Not bad. On the fly.
Just something to think about.
Yeah.
Who else am I miss? Oh, the Upside Dan. Ahmed, Jelly Duck. So great.
Yes.
Glad you popped by. The Upside Dan.
Shawn, of course.
Man of Movies. Jonathan, Man of Movies. We've got, yes, of course, Shawn.
Shane?
When I was referring to him as Shane briefly. But Shawn, thank you again. Yes, our friend of the show, regular chatter, part of the best chat on the internet, but also thanks for coming and helping us out here. I think I've got everyone. I really, Eric Thorpe. Thank you very much,
yes.
Eric.
Yeah, good one.
You know what? Really appreciate you dropping by. And I do think that's about it. I did mention Katie. Thank you, Katie. And yeah, so I am going to say, I think it's time to say goodnight and wave at you politely. Oh, here, I'll come here as I turn down the tunes. Time to turn down the music and cue the outro.